Well, the U.S. Admiral straight up called for the killing of Gadaffi, which to me isn't news. It seems like I've heard that all over the place, but the media seems to have taken it very seriously that he said it in such a bald-faced manner. And I want to tell that Admiral that as a true son of the American Revolution, I will follow to my death, hopefully of old age, the prosecution of anybody like yourself involved in assassination. It is a crime, and we won't forget, and we'll get you. Now, I created a matrix for looking at this propagandist reason for exploiting the unrest in Libya to force a regime change. Now, when Barack Obama authorized that we push to get a UN resolution for the U.S. to back an intervention, I think it was certainly understandable to make that move. I think there was a legitimate fear that the revolution will be snuffed out and that we wanted to give these people some breathing room. I don't really think it was a massacre. And by terming it a massacre, I wasn't worried about a massacre, and I was rooting for the rebels and studying it every day. What I feared was that the rebels would be utterly crushed as a ball team, that the ball game would be over. And I'm not certain that anybody could be blamed for securing the civilian protection, but it's a never let a crisis go to waste scenario, because once the U.S. got the commitments of the other countries and got the resolution, momentum started to build to exploit this. So once they were on board, that's when they start processing all the realpolitik thinking. If you give them the benefit of the doubt that they're not monsters, and I don't know they deserve it, but it helps to stay from getting paranoid. So, and it doesn't serve us to get more sinister at this point, because it's getting sinister right now. So what's happening now is that they go for it. They want to take him out. And that's an abuse of my trust. And what I find out rapidly as a rebel army fails to manifest, which indicates a thinness of support. And you do see reports of towns where the people drive the rebels out in that middle land between Benghazi and Misrata, in other words, towards the center of the country on the coast. So, there's no questioning of all of these stories, like why did these particular military guys defect? How many military guys are there? That would tell us, why isn't there any background? Why? I know events are moving quickly, but it's just so disappointing. I can do more background than CBS can on a story by myself, part-time with a company and kids. So at any rate, so then, thinking about my interest in American history, and that I got most of the information I got by tracing my ancestry, because I looked at specific village records and so forth. And the most important event I learned about was the Battle of Machias, which is in 1775. What British ship heads out from the Boston Harbor to get timber from the hardy Mainers. People of Machias are in a very, very tough part of the world up until now, because it was a battleground between France, the U.S., there was, France, Britain, Indians allied to each, and the colonists were utterly wiped out in Maine and New Hampshire, nearly so, from when they started there till the Revolution. Then their troubles kind of ended, actually. Because we no longer had an insecure border with France, and that, I think, is what led the revolution. So at any rate, when the ship got up to Maine, the fever was spreading, and they'd erected a liberty pole, which was a sign of adherence to the rebellion. And so the British basically lay siege. They surprise attacked the British, captured the ship. Then the British came back repeatedly, and they called Machias the Hornet's Nest. And somehow, I think that the situation now is utterly in the loyalists' hands to mitigate the disaster, because at this point, the longer this lasts, the more people will start to get information, because there's this huge lag between the official media and information, which all has served to make these wars happen with the finding out at the end of the war. And that by that time people aren't interested, so it's only the intellectuals who even know that the lies were finally confirmed by the establishment, as in the Gulf of Tonkin, and in the case of Iraq, it was kind of too late. So the information, as long as they don't utterly destroy Libya, because my concern is not that I'm taking a side with the loyalists and rebels. I certainly emphasize anyone who wants freedom, I'd love to rebel. I understand rebellion, and Gadaffi rebelled. So people all understand the urge to rebel, especially if you don't share the enthusiasm for the system that other people might or might not. So, but my concern is that the Libya having the highest development standard in Africa, that all of those benefits are carted off by world capitalists. Because I don't see much discussion about a post-Gaddafi Libya that takes into account the fact that they have this marvelous development rate, which means that all of this is sort of based on a lie until they confront that. So that's my thoughts for today.